The Heart Sutra explained. Understanding wisdom, emptiness, and freedom from attachment. The Heart Sutra is one of the best-known texts in Mahayana Buddhism. Although it is very short, it addresses one of the deepest ideas in Buddhist philosophy, emptiness, or sunyata. At first, some of its language can sound confusing, especially the famous teaching that form and emptiness are not separate. But the central message becomes easier when we approach it gradually. What is the Heart Sutra? The Heart Sutra is traditionally associated with the Prajnaparamita, or perfection of wisdom, tradition. Its central teaching is that things do not possess an independent, permanent essence of their own. Everything exists through relationships and conditions. For example, consider a tree. A tree depends on seedling is seed, sunlight, droplet water, globe showing Europe Africa soil, wind face air, cloud with rain, honeybee other parts of the ecosystem. Without these conditions, the tree couldn't exist in the form we recognize. The tree is therefore not an isolated, independent thing. This is one way to begin understanding emptiness. What does emptiness mean? This is probably the most important concept to understand. Emptiness does not mean that nothing exists. It means that things are empty of an independent, permanent, unchanging self-nature. Everything arises through causes, conditions, relationships, and circumstances. Think about a wave in the ocean. A wave is real, you can see it and feel its movement. But can the wave exist completely separate from the ocean? No. The wave depends upon the ocean, wind, gravity, and countless other conditions. The wave has an existence, but it isn't completely independent. The Heart Sutra uses this kind of insight to challenge the way we normally see reality. Form is emptiness. One of the Heart Sutra's most famous teachings is the relationship between form and emptiness. Form refers to things as they appear and function in the world. Emptiness refers to their lack of independent, permanent essence. The teaching isn't saying nothing is real. Instead, it points towards something subtler. Things exist, but they don't exist independently. Your thoughts, emotions, relationships, possessions, circumstances, and even your sense of self are constantly changing. Understanding this can gradually loosen our attachment. Why does this matter in everyday life? Imagine someone says something hurtful to you. Your mind might immediately create a story. They don't respect me. Then another thought appears. Everyone treats me this way. Then another. Something must be wrong with me. The mind can turn one moment into an entire identity. The wisdom of emptiness invites us to pause. Is this thought permanent? No. Is this emotion permanent? No. Is this situation the entirety of who I am? No. Everything is changing and arising from conditions. That doesn't mean your feelings aren't real. It means you don't have to become permanently identified with them. The Heart Sutra and fear. The Heart Sutra also connects wisdom with freedom from fear. When we believe that everything must remain exactly as we want it to be, change becomes frightening. We want relationships to remain unchanged, people to remain with us, success to continue, our circumstances to stay comfortable, our identity to remain stable. But life constantly changes. The Heart Sutra encourages us to develop a deeper understanding of this changing nature. When attachment becomes lighter, fear can also become lighter. A simple example. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you squeeze it tightly, the sand slips through your fingers. If you hold your hand gently, you can still experience it without desperately trying to control it. This can represent the difference between attachment and awareness. The Heart Sutra isn't simply telling us to stop caring. Rather, it points toward caring without clinging. Love without trying to possess. Experience without trying to freeze it. Life without demanding that everything remain the same. Why is it called the Heart Sutra? The word heart can be understood as referring to the essence or core of the perfection of wisdom teachings. The text is extremely concise, but it presents profound ideas about wisdom, emptiness, non-attachment, freedom. Its purpose isn't merely intellectual. The teaching is meant to be realized through practice and insight. A simple way to practice its teaching. You don't have to become a Buddhist scholar to contemplate the Heart Sutra. Try this simple reflection. Sit quietly for a few minutes. Notice a thought. Don't fight it. Don't chase it. Simply observe. This thought arose. Then notice that it changes. Another thought appears. Then another. You can do the same with emotions. This feeling is here. Rather than saying, "This feeling is who I am," you recognize that the feeling is something you're experiencing, and experiences change. This simple observation can help create space between awareness and attachment. The deeper message. At its heart, the Heart Sutra asks us to look beyond the surface of things. We normally divide reality into me and everything else, success and failure, good and bad, gain and loss, coming and going. The Heart Sutra challenges us to look more deeply at how these distinctions arise and depend upon one another. Through wisdom, we begin to see that life is interconnected and constantly changing. And when we stop demanding permanence from something that is inherently changing, we may discover a different kind of peace. In one sentence, the Heart Sutra teaches that when we deeply understand the changing, interconnected, and non-independent nature of things, we can loosen attachment and experience greater freedom and wisdom.